Hello, everybody. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe and healthy and doing well on this beautiful sunny day. If it's morning where you are, good morning. If it's afternoon, good afternoon. Depending on where you are in the world. So I hope everybody has been having a good week. I've had a good week, so today we will be coloring in this picture, and this is an oldie but a goodie. It's one of my favorite books, and if I ever finish this book, I will keep it because I have colored a lot in this book. This is called Ticket to Dreams by Karolina Kubikowska. As far as I know, this book is out of print. I tried to look a few places that I knew would have it, but I didn't see it anywhere. So you can find it. God bless you. So this is what we are coloring today. So I haven't decided if we're going to do a background or not. You see a little house there. So I have a couple of different pencils, and I brought my pastels out in case we will be coloring up. In case we decide to color that one, I'll be doing that in pastels. So I just want to grab my pencils. Today we will probably be using, what did I take out? My Pablos today. Yes. I like using my Pablos. I just don't bring them out too often. This is ochre. I do like the I do like the luminance pencils. This is one that's after it, but I've actually colored quite a lot in this book if anybody's interested. So I colored this. I never finished this, but eventually I will. This, and I had to cover it up because I accidentally used markers one year, and it totally changed the complexion of the paper in this book. So I believe this is a pastel pencils. I found that when you color with pastels as a background instead of pencils, it actually tends to have a better. This was all pastels because it's smoother. It goes down smoother on this paper. For some reason, the pastels go really down incredibly better. Sorry, I was just looking for another color pencil. Someone asked me, would I consider this a grayscale coloring book? You know, I don't know technically if this is considered, what is the word, grayscale or not, but it does have a very sketch feel to it. And this was, I think, Carolina's first coloring book, so that tells you how old this is. Someone asked me, would I keep this book? And the answer is yes. This one being an exception if I ever finish it. Because I love the images in it. I think the colors, this one is ochre, by the way, if someone's asking me about it. And I was also asked recently, would I get the new colors in there? So I'm going to do a nice red. This is called purplish red. These are my luminance pencils, if anybody is curious. But I do have the 120 set. Though right now I can't figure out which pencil I'm missing. The thing about these pencils is that they're a little bit harder. They hold, yeah, they look thin, but they're kind of like, what is the word, hexagonal? Do not ask me about light fast rating because they have 3-star, like all these pencils have stars on them, and I think that's like a light fast rating on them. Because whenever you see stars on a pencil, that means they have a light fast rating on them. And if you're wondering why I have a paper in between, because sometimes when I color, my marks show up on the other paper, even though this paper, technically the page behind it already has a color thing. I just want to protect what I'm coloring on it. You'll find I do this. I've also done this month 2 Christmas and July pictures. I was almost tempted to bring out the Bremula coloring book to do a Christmas in July, but I was like, I wanted to do something a little bit more summery. I know a lot of you've been seeing the coloring having summer one, so I wanted to do a bit of a departure. From that coloring, so. You guys know I don't really do animals very often, but I'm starting to not mind doing animals so much. For me, the challenge is always doing fur. I remember back in the day, this book was so popular to do. Hello to the 2 people in the stream. It was so pretty. What have I read this month? What am I reading this month? Okay, let's get to what I finished this month. Blood Beneath the Snow by Alexandra Kennington. That was really very, very good. I read that for my fantasy club. I read that in 9 days. So I kind of read that straight. I've kind of been having a very busy month. I'm also still looking for another job. So I finished that, and that was just superb writing for a fantasy. Well, they call it a romantasy, which means it's romance and fantasy. I thought the romance was okay. I didn't think it was great, the romance, but I loved the world building. I loved the main character. I loved her. I loved her story. I loved her arc. I think it's called Blood and Souls Duology. The next one comes out in February, so I really like that a lot. Hi, Michelle. How are you? I'm good. Yeah, I've been busy this week. I had a doctor's appointment. I went to work 2 days, and so so we are coloring from Ticket to Dreams by Karolina Kubikowska. Now this is really old, right? This book's oldie but a goodie. Something old. Now I was looking at this book this morning, and so I was saying earlier before you came in that the choice of books was this one, Debbie McComa's Holly Jolly, one of Debbie McComa's Christmas coloring books, which I love so much. Or the Color in Heaven one. No, I haven't gotten my subscription issue yet, so not the one that I'm getting 2 books. Remember, they're doing a special one, and you probably saw them in the thing that if you subscribe, they're giving you the 10-year anniversary one. So So that's like the 10-year anniversary one that they're doing an anniversary issue. So I'm looking forward to getting that. Hopefully I get it soon. I was saying earlier that I would keep this book, actually. This would be one of the books I keep if I finish it. Back in the day, this was a big book back in the day. Remember, Michelle? Plus, I don't think you can get it anymore, actually. I've been hearing that some people have been asking if she could do a reprinting of this like she did for Imaginary Friends. I remember what Emil did, actually. That's the one that did the Sega Oksagna one and the Fairy Tales one. If you look at the edition, she has new pictures in it. but it wasn't enough for me to get that folklore and legends book from Emil. This is what happens. Why? See, the only thing about these books is that I don't like that you can't go in. I might not do a background because I don't think you might need one actually. Some do, some don't. So I have to put that in there. I didn't see these two little things in there before. Well, if you look what I did before in this one, well, when I first started this, I just tried to do it in marker, and then I realized I couldn't do this book in marker because it flipped through. So and then I had to fix some of the pages when I got to them. So in the early beginning, so. I tell people now when you get a book and a really nice book, if you're not sure if it works well with markers, you know what you do, you take the last page of the book and do a test, but put a paper behind it to see how the paper reacts to the markers. As thick as this paper is, it doesn't do well with alcohol markers. So I was saying that I read one book so far this month. I finished a book. I read The Blood Beneath the Snow by Alexandra Kennington, and it was so good. I finished it in like 8 days. So now I'm reading Shield of Sparrows for my Romantasy Club, Interview with the Vampire for the Horror Club. Yeah, I know. But they're classics, you know? They're good books, you know? Interview with the Vampire. I forgot that the interview didn't have a name. He gets a name later on in the series, but in the very first book, he's not given a name. So. Watermelon from My Black Widows. Well, the interviewer was called Boy in the first book, and I had forgotten that because in the later books he's given the name Daniel Malone. I'm thinking red hair. For some weird reason, I'm thinking red hair. I know, but we have to have the ads, Michelle. They're annoying, but we need the ads. So you know, one thing I will say about The Shield of Sparrows, I'm already 50 pages into it, and it's pretty good. It's about a princess who is rebelling, doesn't want to get married. The man chooses her instead of her sister, like was the bargain. So, and then there's a whole bunch of secrets and traditions. It's actually a really different kind of book. But I think I like doing a little bit of a departure. So, give me a notification. Notification. Got a notification from my messenger. Thought maybe it was you, Michelle. So now I'm thinking it might need a background. But the problem is when I have to do the border here. I'm thinking, yeah, no to a background because it's a lot of work to do a background. I know a lot of the pages before this have backgrounds, but I'm like, I'm not always so gung-ho about a background. Sometimes I've had to do a background because what happens is little bits and pieces of when I do other pages sometimes get on here. Then I have to go back and do a background to cover up those spots. I brought out the best pastels too that I use, so. The part of me that says yes, use the background, and then there's another part of me that says don't. Well, at the time that I originally got this book, I did not have these pencils, so I feel like these pencils work really well on this paper, the Black Widow, so. Someone asked me, what are the best pencils overall? But it depends on what you're using them for. For shading, blending, and skin tone, Prismas. For straight coloring, Holbein's. And polychromos if you get paper that doesn't really work. I have one book that, I forget which book it is, but I have one book that doesn't like any of my pencils. And the only pencils that it likes is my polychromos. Strange, but. Hi, Robin, how are you? I'm good. I was talking about books, the books I was reading. I have one of the books I really enjoyed this week, Robin. I would say one of the books I read this month is Blood Beneath the Soul by Alexandra Kennington, and it's really good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I read it from my fantasy book club this month, which will meet later this month, so I went through it in like about 9 days. I thought it was an excellent read. So I thought the read was excellent, and now I'm reading Shield of Sparrows. I'm thinking light blue sky for some weird reason, but I don't know if I have that in pastel. Now I need green. Then we'll do pink. Venom. Now we'll do pink. I know, right? I love the book, so I'm reading Shield of Sparrows for my romantasy book club. And then for the horror book club, I'm reading this month Interview with a Vampire again. I really enjoy the book. A lot of people say they don't enjoy the book, but that book is, the thing about Interview with the Vampire, and I've said this to a lot of people, is that book is very complex, actually, if you go back and read that book. Maybe a Prismacolor pink is in order. So, Interview with the Vampire is a very complex book because it also has a lot of history in it. You're spanning a couple of centuries in that book. It's not just one century. And I was telling her before, when you read Interview, and I had forgotten this because it's been many years since I've read the book. So now rereading it again, I'm picking up on a lot of different themes now. You know? Well, it's funny because if you look at romantasy is romance and fantasy really together. So if you look at a book like Fourth Wing series, which is spectacularly good, but it's very big, like ACOTAR. ACOTAR is A Crown of Thorns and Roses, and I'm also reading the second book in that. Originally, that was going to be a club book, but then some members of the club, I guess, didn't feel like reading another big ACOTAR book. I mean, ACOTAR is very big. It's like, what is it, like 500, 600 pages? So some books are very, how shall we say, long in the tooth. don't know why this doesn't stay straight. Simply touch it and it doesn't stay straight. So now we're going to do some split, which is why we bring out our Twizzlers. Who thinks this needs a background? I think it does actually. And I don't have my paintbrush, which I need to get my paintbrush. So I put white down. Then we do cream. You know, I've started to, I think you might like fantasy. But the big trope in fantasy now, and I understand why they do this trope, enemy to lovers, but sometimes it's starting to get a little bit derivative. Who's Kristen? I think this is Deco Pink or Deco Peach. Is she your brother's wife? Your sister-in-law? Oh, your brother's ex-wife. That's nice that you took her in. Beige. I think it does need a background, actually. See, I put the color and I didn't have to go do craziness in the color to do that. Salmon pink. I'm actually excited for the new season of the Resurrection Dexter show that they're doing. I think it's going to be a good show. Uma Thurman and Peter Dinklage are going to be in the new season. They brought back Batista and they brought back the actor who played Harrison too. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that when I get a chance. as soon as it drops on Amazon, because I get my Paramount through Amazon. So, and then this is light peach, which I use to blend it all together. Now, some people say, why don't I use a blender pencil? I have them, but in another set. I think I have those in my library, so. Sometimes when you use the blender pencils, and I find that sometimes there's a residue on them, because sometimes goes on the picture, so that's why I don't really like blender pencils, and sometimes you have to do these things with sandpaper. It's a little bit more messier to use a blender pencil. For some weird reason, I think it needs a background. Really nice without it. Well, maybe I should do it even without it. But every time I do that in this book, you know what happens? If I go to the next picture, or it's not already done. See, this one was done. Actually, this one was done a long time ago. And this one, I think with the exception of the skin, was done with Tombow and Rogerton's. So, it's funny, I remember that. Done. And I forgot to bring out a brush. Sorry about that, guys. I just need to bring out the brush thing. So, I think it looks nice without the background, but we're just seeing if we're going to do one or not. So, what I like to do when I'm thinking about a background color is what complements the colors without making it go crazy. And these are Pentel oil pastels. Don't bring them out too often. So. I don't know. That may conflict a little bit. That may be too pinky. The light blue I originally had for this, I ran out of it. I'm not loving that. I'm actually not loving the idea of a. I don't think I have enough colors in the pastel set to do it, actually. We may have to do it in pencil, actually. Well, it was the thing. Then you have to do one chapter, one chapter. Because I messed up the. I wish I had those, what are they called? Those gel crayons, which are really nice, actually. I saw someone color. Shouldn't this have a background? Does anybody know what this is? This was found. If anybody can tell me what that is, I'll be very happy. Does anybody know what this is? I have no idea what this is. I was going through my supplies the other day and I cannot figure out what this is. They say this is light green, but it's actually a light blue. Oh no. Do you find that audiobooks are better, Robin, to read? That looks good, actually. Do you find that they're faster for you to read, like? Or does it really, or does the narrator really matter? Really? I don't even remember where I got this blender. Thank you for telling me what that is. No, when I moved, I actually put all my water stuff in here, like all the stuff that I got from like sketch boxes, watercolor media, and all this stuff in my art bin. So that is just one of the things I got on. Like I have brushes in there too. I wish there was a way to get into the pencil easily with pencil, but it's not so easy. This is called light green from Karen Dodge. Does the narrator really matter? Because some people said they've done or tried to do audiobooks and they didn't like it because of the narrator. The few things I'm waiting anxiously for in 2026, like one of the books I want to read, the new one, is by Jay Kristoff. Well, I have more than one book going on right now. What do I have right now going on? Cheryl Sparrow's Interview with the Vampire and A Court of Mist and Fury. And I finished the Blood Beneath the Snow. So it was 4 now. It's I find for this book, because I color a lot of the pages back and front in this, that I have to put a sheet behind this. I do not know if I have a duplicate of this, so if I don't, I don't. And I'll just put it on the supply list, so everyone know. I thought I was going to use more than I did, actually. See, I didn't like any of these colors for the background, so when you do that, I also, when I use the pastels, I feel like I need a brush all the time, like a paintbrush or something, to spread it out. So it gets coverage. This is one of my favorite books to work out of. I don't get to do Karolina too much. Does anybody remember what Johanna Basford's first book was called? Was it Secret Garden, I think? I'm having a little bit of a taste of nostalgia. I did color in 2 Christmas in July books, a color by number book and a Chibi Christmas. And what I did in Chibi Christmas book, and you guys will see it at the end of the month, I messed up the face because I chose the wrong skin tone, and so now the little girl looks like she has a darker skin tone in that picture. But that was only because I messed up and picked the wrong skin tone. So I know it's Prime Day, so what did I get? I got a set of markers for for about a little less than $18. Yeah, a cheap set of 100. So what I haven't gotten a cheap set of markers in a while. I just really wanted the marker holders, really. But every once in a while, I like to have the cheap markers because they work on some of the more cheaper books. My Copics go through those cheap papers like they bleed through those cheaper mark pages like really crazily. I think that Color Questopia might be one of my last 2 books in the Color Questopia. I could have sworn a few years ago I had a Halloween. Remember we all were so crazy about Secret Garden when it came out? I think that's the book that started me on this craze. I also have the chats enabled. I have the super chat enabled. So what I did to save myself some time was and this is one thing I learned from other people. I learned from other color tubers too. As I wrote down all my disclaimers and I put them on a Microsoft Word document, so that way then I would have more time. It would save me time. I think a lot of people don't understand. I was having a hard time today choosing what to color. And I think one of my subscribers asked me, can you please do a picture in this? And I was like, remember, I still have Serene. I still have a few pictures left in that to do too. There's a few unfinished ones in there too, and I can't remember what I did. That's the problem when you have a lot of whips. You try not to. And I still have to watch my General Hospital from yesterday. I might wait till 5 o'clock and just watch them back to back, the episodes. I know I didn't announce that I was coming on, but I think every once in a while it's good to bring out an older book and not a newer book because I don't think the older books get as much love. Maybe that should be a hashtag for next year. Bring out the old books. Yeah, I know we do things like color your hoard, finish 15 books to finish, or your top 10, your top 15. Then I have someone who did what is it called, 25 and 25. So, you know. I actually like the blue, actually. This is a really nice blue. And this is from Karen Dosh. What is these? Are these my Pablos? Yeah, these are my Pablos. They're not my Luminants. And these are thin hexagonal pencils, and they see, I'm not even pressing hard in there. I feel like because I did a lot of backgrounds already in this book, that a lot of the pages will have backgrounds. Now, notice this is a pencil background, and it's still coming out a little bit smooth. And that's because I'm using a higher end pencil. Now, someone will say, well, you can do these with crayons, you can do this with. Now, here's the thing, if you do them with crayons, sometimes the crayons, depending on what kind of crayons you use, they could be waxy and then they give you a very waxy thing. I forget if these are oil or wax based. I think these are oil based. You know, I haven't used my Caran d'Ache Pablos in a while. I love these. I love this color, actually. It's called light green, but to me it comes looking out like a blue. I've been seeing, you know, one of the things I love is the new Kirby book, The Dark Fairy Tales. I don't know how I feel about the anniversary book that he's coming out with. Also, R.J. Hampton is going to come out with a new one. Christine Caron's got a new one on the way. I think, here's the thing, you can make that look as dark as you want or as interesting. I bought it, actually. I was surprised by how much I liked it, actually. The interpretation was different. Now, don't get me wrong, I like my fairy tales, but sometimes I like a little bit of a darker fairy tale. Like, I think there'll be a lot more images releasing during Halloween for that one. Maybe I should have a hashtag next year. Show some older books some love. I would need a hashtag for that. Maybe August should be about older books. Yeah, nothing got through, thankfully. See, when I'm done with the page, I always tag it to make it. Sometimes I like to have a spare piece of paper. What happened was I printed this out, actually, this piece of paper, and I didn't mean to. I meant to print it out on a better piece of paper. This comes from a Nazi artist, so if anybody's wondering. See, I didn't know what this was, so thank you, Michelle. Sometimes I find things and I'm like, where did this come from? So we did this one with Prismacolors, Black Widows, Pablos. I had gel pen ready to go. I had pastels, and I had a brush if I needed to. Trusty AFMAT sharpener. So I hope everybody has really, really loved this. This is one of my favorite. I think I may like this one a little bit more than I thought I would. I'm gonna have to take a photo of this actually. You can see like a lot of these I've done some backgrounds. This was the only one I didn't do a background in. But then I did this one. This is an old one I did. You guys can tell I've done a couple of things in this. See, I started this one. I don't remember what I did in this one, so I have to probably try and get those colors back. I will probably color these both the same colors to match. I like to match them if I can. This picture just gives me the creeps. I don't know why. I think we did this one on a live stream, if my memory serves me correctly. See, I started this and then I never finished it. I have a lot of what you call starts and finish. This one would have made a good Easter one. Had a bunny. This is also a start one. Was thinking about doing this one actually. I might make this a darker yellow, but I would probably make this yellow just to complement this. This one I remember we did on a live stream. Like this was like one of the first pictures I did when I moved here. We did not do the background because I just thought the purple and pink looked really good. See a cup of tea. Someone asked me, do I consider this grayscale? You know, she says it's a sketch, that her art is more sketch, but to me, when I color in this, it feels more like a grayscale. I've not seen them yet, but people have been taking pictures that there is a raccoon in the neighborhood. So there's still a way to go in this book, but I was thinking, too bad I didn't know that there was a mermaid in this one. I could have used this for mermaid. Maybe next year. Then I think this is a where you put down your pages. Most coloring books now will have this either in the beginning of the book, the coloring testing page, or they'll have a coloring testing page in the back. So most books now have it in the front. Here's another one that could have been used for Easter. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this one. I know I have enjoyed this one. So everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful, what is it today? What is today? Thursday? So have a wonderful week, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow or Saturday. Bye, everybody.